Good day, everyone. Dan here. This is the first in a semi-long series of videos we're going to be doing on specific vanilla classes in World of Warcraft vanilla flavor, of course. I'm going to be doing about 5 or 6 of these to start. As you can see, I have a couple different tabs at the top. I'm only going to focus on one per video, but this is going to be the first because it's probably the one I know the best. And it's going to be the spec I'm doing on Elysium on my warrior. I'm very excited about this. I'm very, I'm ready to get back into this. I miss it. So, question is now, what spec are we talking about? It looks like a Fury warrior. Yeah, it definitely looks like a Fury warrior. Bloodthirst, okay. But what is this? Slam. What is this? Two-handed weapon specialization. Now, obviously, you have all of the standard things with a Fury build: Enrage, Flurry, Death Wish, and Bloodthirst. You also have Improved Battle Shout and Cruelty. These are all required things for any kind of Fury damage build. Or for some of these, Cruelty and Improved Battle Shout, just things every DPS warrior needs to have to be semi-useful. We aren't the most useful things on the planet. I admit that. However, you're going to want to hear me out on this. This is the Slam spec for Two-Handed Fury. Now, it takes a lot of what Fury does well in maximizing the single swing and attack speed that damage warriors can do. Obviously, Flurry is going to be a big part of that. Obviously, Death Wish is going to be a part of that. Bloodthirst is not a big part of this, and in fact, there are builds of this build. There are different versions of this build that actually remove Bloodthirst entirely. You actually take this point out and put it into two-handed weapon spec to get an extra little boost of damage. And that's, again, that's entirely reasonable. I like Bloodthirst personally, but that doesn't mean that it is a necessary part of the spec. So, how does this work? Again, you have a lot of the standard Fury stuff for Fury. You don't have dual weapon, obviously. We don't have improved execute. We don't have improved berserker rage, because rage is actually not a huge issue with this build. You have a lot of rage to work with. So, you also have obvious stuff from the arms tree. Deep wounds, unfortunately, is a necessary part of this build. I know a lot of people don't like deep wounds in raid environments because it takes up an extra an extra debuff slot. I get that. It can do a lot of damage though if you let it run its course. I advocate for deep wounds. Obviously, we're not going to be using Rend. Rend is the only truly useless point besides deflection in this build. Everything else is used. Everything else beyond these 2 points, 100% used. Impale is huge on this because you're going to be critting a lot and you're going to be critting very hard with this build. So keep that in mind. And yes, two-handed weapon spec is very important too. You're going to be swinging slow. So the more you can get multipliers stacked up on your attack power and on your single attack swings, that's important. Now, how does the build function? Especially compared to standard Fury builds. That's going to be the big question here. How does it function compared to other standard Fury and Arms builds? This works better than Arms at DPS. Flat out. Flat out. Absolutely, without question. It can out-damage Arms even without doing any fuckery with the swing timers and server lag. And I'll get to what that means here in a minute or two. There are some very specific benefits to this build. One, it's Fury, so it has a lot of good damage output. You get a lot of what warriors can do damage-wise in these abilities here. But you don't need to worry about two-handing, dual-wielding, rather. Two-handed weapons take less hit. So you only have to go up to about 9% hit chance to make sure all your abilities are hitting, versus quite a bit more if you're trying to dual wield appropriately. Dual wield, I'm not sure you can ever get hit capped in vanilla. I didn't get all the way through AQ40, so that may not be true. I never crunched the numbers that far in vanilla. So maybe you were able to get hit capped at some point as a Fury. I don't remember if you could. I don't think you could. I did a lot of this and did a little bit of Fury back in vanilla. So the bonuses are that you can stack your specific stats and what you do best a little more directly to maximize the amount of damage you're putting out as compared to Fury straight up, dual wield, or arms straight up with Mortal Strike. Now, obviously, you're losing out on your weapon specialization, and especially with sword spec, that can hurt, which is why sometimes it is useful to rework the build. I really wish I could get one of these without having to lose flurry, but you cannot have both. It is mathematically impossible. And it sucks. It really sucks. Now, how exactly does the BS work with this build? It takes into account server lag. Now, the important part to remember is that Slam resets your swing timer. So, if you start your auto attack, and as soon as you see your swing start to wind up, you start casting Slam, your auto attack is still going to go through, but so is your Slam. And because it's reducing the cast time, it's going to hit a lot faster than the 3.8 or 3.6 that's going to be on your weapon swing itself. Which means you're probably going to hit twice for a lot of damage right off the bat. And you're not going to be losing rage off that. In fact, if your auto attack crits and you hit with the Slam, you're gaining rage. Most likely. I think you're gaining rage. Now here, that's the beauty of this build. It's very rage efficient. Now, yes, you can, pop Death Wish, and when you're high on rage, just spam the shit out of Slam and burn your rage down. And you'll probably get a couple crits in there. It's going to be deep wounds. You'll probably be able to get a Bloodthirst in there if you decide to go with that. The important thing to keep in mind, though, is Bloodthirst is specifically based off your attack power. It is not based off weapon swing. Slam, as an ability, is based off your weapon swing plus attack power bonus. It has an attack power bonus attached to it plus extra damage, which means when it comes to spending your rage properly, or rather not your rage, but your swing timer properly, Slam is going to be the better option. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is for the majority of the time that you're using this build, you have to be aware of the server lag and the difference between your ping to the server and the server's ping to you. I shouldn't say the difference, but you have to understand that the back and forth does take a couple parts of a second. And if you time things up appropriately, you're going to cheat the server into thinking that you time things up at the correct times, and it's just both happening at both the melee swing and the Slam are happening pretty much at the same time. Now, you're probably wondering, wait, Dan, where's your math on this? So, let's look at the regular cast time of Slam. I'm just loading up another copy of DB Vanilla Gaming, which actually, I love this website. This has helped me out so much in the whole area of getting ready for Nostalrius back a year or so ago, and then getting ready for Elysium. Slam. Show me Slam. Oh, just Warrior Slam, please. Okay. Rank 4. 100-yard range. No. Here we go. Alright, rank 4 slam. Requires level 54. Slams the opponent, causing weapon damage plus 87. So I need to correct myself then. It does not take into account attack power. It simply adds on to your weapon damage. Which may actually take into account attack power now that I think about it. I don't remember the calculations. It's been a while since I've done these. The point is, Slam is incredibly efficient when it comes to rage. Now, whether or not it's taking into account attack power or not, whatever, that's not important at this point. 15 rage to cast, and at base, 1.5 second cast. Now, with this build as it is right now, I'm bringing that down to 1.1 second. You then have to ask yourself, how long does the actual swing animation take to go all the way through and allow you to deliver your damage? It's at least 0.5, 0.8, 0.9 seconds. It could be the full second, which means the actual amount of time you're going to be casting Slam before you hit, between the damage of your auto attack swing and Slam actually hitting, is about half a second. At the very most. Now you're probably thinking it's almost negligible to count in the first place, but it does matter because at half second is going to set back your auto attack for the next time you're going to swing. So while this does give you larger peaks of damage, there's going to be a second or two there where you're not doing anything. And it's important to keep that in mind. Again, the reason that this build is so efficient is, one, it generates its own rage relatively efficiently, and use of rage at 15 a cast for Slam, and you're tying that up with a weapon swing, is not that much. Not that much at all. In addition, you do get the other bonuses with the Spec. Flurry, which means you're going to be attacking a little bit faster after you deal melee crit. You can pop Death Wish and just slam spams. Spam slams? Something like that. And you are going to be critting more often and critting harder. These are important things to keep in mind. This build is not all that different from the standard two-hand Fury spec. Essentially it is, except with two-hand Fury, you don't put points into Slam. I believe you put points into Execute and Cleave. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. You also might not put the point in Bloodthirst either. However, this is how I have built my two-handed Slam spec previously. And it's functioned relatively well. Now, if you want to learn more about this, look up using the server lag to time out extra abilities through Google. It should give you some extra resources to use when you want to actually figure out how it functions. And I would, of course, encourage you to do so. But that's my first video on different class options. And the next one we're going to be touching on is actually Shadow Priest. You can see it up here. I'm one of those few people that believes that any spec can be useful in the right situations, including Shadow. So I'm going to spend my next video in this series talking about Shadow Priests and how I do believe they can function in a raid. So thank you everyone for being here. Make sure you check out all the links below in the video description. We do a lot of stuff, including the wonderful guild that we have formed for Elysium's release, which you can get in on again through the Discord. Thank you everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.